Hello, good evening friends, this is Shivakkumar again. So as a part of the science innovations and exhibitions, so we are seeing about the global positioning systems. So the main use of GPS or location, that is which determines the position, then navigation, getting from one location to another, tracking, so monitoring the objects of personal movements or any vehicle kind of thing, mapping, creating the mapping of the world, and timing, making it possible to take precise time measurements. So these are the important features of GPS which makes it useful everywhere, right? And we have different types of GPS system include AGPS, that is assisted GPS, is a type of GPS that allows the receivers to get information from local network sources which help the location of satellites to determine the current position. So we have SGPS, DGPS like AGPS, non-differential GPS, mapping and non-mapping GPS. Lot of different types of GPS are there. When talking about the components of GPS, an atomic clock synchronized to GPS is required in order to compute ranges from these three signals. However, by taking the measurements from the fourth satellite, the receiver avoids the need for an atomic clock. Thus, receiver uses four satellites to compute latitude, longitude, altitude and time, right? And when talking about the fundamentals of GPS, so basics of GPS is the triangulation from the satellite. To triangulate a GPS receiver measures the distance using the travel time of radio signals. To measure travel time, GPS needs very accurate timing which achieves with some tricks. Along with the distance, you need to know exactly where the satellites are in space. And when you're talking about the benefits of GPS, the improved safety of your driver is no doubt a top priority for your organization. And minimize the fuel costs, lower operational costs, increase productivity, theft recovery, everything will be achieved with the GPS tracking. And importance of GPS is the GPS has changed the way of world operates. This is especially true for the marine operations, including search and rescue operations in the deep sea ocean. GPS provides the fastest and more accurate methods for marine to navigate, measure speeds and determine locations. Okay, these are the accuracy or applications of GPS. When talking about the characteristics of GPS constellation, we have 24 satellites, 6 orbits, 4 satellites per orbit. Orbit period is approximately 12 hours. Orbit radius is about 26,600 kilometers approximately. Satellites altitude is about 20,200 kilometers approximately, and inclination with earth of GPS is 55 degree, and angle between orbital planes is 60 degree. Okay, so this is about the GPS applications and everything. So GPS is used for the accurate measurement of an object from the from the source. So GPS comprises of an instrument used for navigation and orientation, track and find device, track your device and locate it on the map if anything is lost, weather forecasting and warning, GPS alarm and timer, GPS importer and viewer, map tools, altimeter, satellite. So these are the importance of applications in GPS. And if you want to know about the accuracy of GPS, so GPS enabled smartphones are typically accurate within a 4.9 meter, that is 16 feet radius under open sky. And so however this accuracy worsen near buildings, bridges and trees. Higher end uses boosters GPS accuracy with the dual frequency receiver and augmentation system technology, right? These are the different things. And say the types of GPS devices are three main types of GPS. That is tracking device, passive, semi-passive and active. Passive devices are constantly send out signals that can be picked up anyone with the correct receiver. These devices generally have no battery life, but great if you need to track something in a rail over long distances. Okay. And say when talking about the limitations, global positioning systems are generally unless until it is in indoor conditions, the radio wave will be blocked by the physical barriers. So also regular GPS cannot pinpoint locations to a greater 3 m accuracy. Okay. So these are the GPS applications and limitations. And so next actually we are talking about the semiconductor thing, right? What is a semiconductor or an IC chip? So semiconductors are the materials which have a conductivity between conductors, generally metals, and non-conductors or insulators such as ceramics. So semiconductor can be pure elements such as silicon or germanium, or compounds of gallium arsenide or cadmium selenide. And semiconductor are the material which have a conductivity between conductors, generally metals and non-conductors or insulators, already told. Say semiconductor components can be gallium arsenide or pure elements, right? And important properties of semiconductor is the resistivity of semiconductor is less than the insulator but higher than a conductor. Semiconductors show a negative temperature coefficient of resistance, and at 0 Kelvin semiconductors behaves like an insulator. Okay. And the major types of semiconductors are two types, so intrinsic and extrinsic semiconductors. And the different types of semiconductors, we can say it depends on the material. Or a flow of holes occurs in the direction of opposite to the flow of the electronics or electrons. Elemental semiconductors include antimony, arsenic, boron, carbon, germanium, selenium, silicon, sulfur, and tellurium. These are the important types of semiconductors, right? And what is the main use of the semiconductors? It is essentially components of electronic devices enabling advances in communication, computing, healthcare, military systems, transportation, pharma, life sciences, and clean energy, healthcare, and countless of applications are observed. Okay. And we have two types of semiconductors, P and N type. So P type semiconductor are majority carriers or holes, and minority carriers are electronics. But in N type, electrons are the majority carriers, where holes are the minority carriers. Okay. And when talking about the PN junction applications of semiconductor, PN junction can be used as a photodiode, as the diode is sensitive to the light when configuration of the diode is reverse bias. It can be used as a solar cell when the diode is forward bias. It can be used in light emitting diodes also. Okay. So important 5 products of semiconductors are, say, computers, smartphones, appliances, gaming hardware, and medical equipments. These are the main applications or products of semiconductors. And the semiconductor was invented by Carl Ferdinand Born, and he developed the crystal detector, the first semiconductor device, in 1874. Okay. So these are the main important information on semiconductors. And the special level semiconductors have a unique atomic structure that allows their conductivity to be controlled by the simulation with electric currents, electromagnetic fields, or even light. Okay. And advantages in the sense, semiconductors like unlock vacuum tubes or shock proof. Furthermore, they are similar in the size, smaller in size, take up less space, and use less power. Semiconductor is extremely sensitive to the temperature and radiation when compared to a vacuum tube. Semiconductors are less expensive than the vacuum diode and have much longer time. So sorry, actually I mentioned similar. It is not similar. It is smaller than the vacuum diodes and or transistors and everything. Okay. And what is what are all the 8 processing steps in a semiconductor, right? So the manufacture of each semiconductor components products requires hundreds of processes. After sorting, the entire manufacturing process is divided into 8 steps: vapor processing, oxidation, 3rd step photography, 4th one called etching, 5th step is film deposition, 6th one interconnection, and 7th one test, and 8th one package. Okay. And when you are talking about the biggest semiconductor, we have Taiwan Semiconductor Manufacturing Company. Is the biggest in the world, right? Actually, is the biggest semiconductor company. Okay. And how are the semiconductors formed? Means made up of individual atoms that are bonded together in a regular and a periodic manner to form an arrangement. The electronics which are surrounded each atom are actually the part of covalent band. The covalent bond consists of two atoms sharing the single electron, right? That is the thing. And what is the most common semiconductor? Means MOSFET. Okay, metal oxide semiconductor field effect transistor, also called MOS translators. Okay. And what are the other names of semiconductor? That is junction rectifier, junction transistor, also called semiconductor device, semiconductor diode, transistors, microprocessor chip, silicon chip, thermal resistor. These are the other names given to the semiconductors. And why a question comes, silicon is used for the semiconductor means, silicon is a very common element, is used for the raw material semiconductor because it's a stable structure. So purification of silicon consumes large amount of